Riana, you and I have been digging into the biggest release of the week, I would argue. Dragon Age, the Veilguard. I've been playing it on PC. What platform have you been playing it on?
I've been going back and forth between PC and my Steam Deck.
Ooh, very interesting. How does it play on Steam Deck?
It's funny you should ask because every time I mention it, people are very curious about it. And I'm surprised because it's Steam Deck verified, but there's
Yeah.
not a lot of people who are playing it. So I actually made a quick video that I put up on my channel about it, but it's okay. Um, it's fine. It's not the visual spectacle that you get on PC or console, right? You're
Right.
going to turn your settings all the way down to low. It's going to clip. Textures are a little bit fuzzy. You may have a character pop out of frame every once in a while. Like it's a Steam Deck. It's not a huge beefy PC. It's also incredibly hot. I have the 256 gig model, and I have to keep it like elevated with like almost like a fan blowing nearby to keep it from like hurting my fingertips. And it has to be plugged in. Like I can only get about an hour and a half out of it, a full playtime, and then it's like, oh, battery's low again.
Wow.
So it's not for the airport, it's not for the train ride, it's not for playing at work while you're supposed to be doing whatever on your computer. It's
Right.
legit, you're sitting next to an outlet and
In an ice bath.
yeah. Ice pack on your lap.
Right.
But it's still good. It's still really
playable.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game is very action heavy. Very, it is an action game, action RPG. So the fact that the Steam Deck can handle that, and it's even playable at all. I think because having played it on PC, as you mentioned, one of the things that I like most about Veilguard is it is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Holy mackerel, is it pretty?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful game.
The lighting.
Yes. Oh man, I got the beefy GP, and we you can play it with full ray tracing, like the real full ray tracing, and I've been doing that, and oh my goodness, it's real pretty. This is Dragon Age, the Veilguard. It kind of is a throwback to the early Dragon Age games in a lot of ways, in that it is not open world like the most recent one, Inquisition. It is not a full open world game. There are open sections of the world, but it is much closer to how Dragon Age Origins was in the earlier installments, when you are in these sort of more sectioned off areas that can still be pretty large, but because of that, I think that all of the locations look very different from one another, and you don't have to worry about transitioning between one to the next. It can have really, I think, very extreme visual palettes and styles, and part of that makes the game feel very, I think, much more fantastical. Like there's stuff, there's a whole place you go that's like underwater, and there's
that's a good level.
It's awesome. And it does feel like level to level. It's like these wild ideas. Anyway, I'm going on about the visuals. The visuals are stunning. Tell me what you think of the game.
I'm having a great time. I like action RPGs. That is my style of RPG, and I've never played a Dragon Age game before. So this is my first into the IP, and I'm loving the characters. I'm super into the lore. I'm reading all of the different missives and the library entries. My partner Danny, he actually did a full like straight to the end run, and he finished the game in about 30ish hours. I'm 30 hours in, and I just hit the first act peak.
Yeah.
And I'm doing all of the side missions. I'm trying to do all of them, which is probably not a great idea as a game reviewer who has awards to consider, but it's just so fascinating. Like, I love learning more about these characters. I love learning more about the world. There is a really great communication system that they've put together to manage all of your conversations with your companions, where more or less the consequences of all of the different dialogue choices you're making, but you also know the consequences of like not talking to somebody at a certain time, or choosing to follow one companion versus another, or choosing to take a certain pair of companions with you versus another pair. Like you know that this is going to change your story, and comparing notes with other people who have played the way that I've played, wildly different outcomes, which is so cool. And it makes you want to play again. I actually have a friend who's playing who has maxed out their number of rooks, playable characters that
Oh
they've made,
yeah,
because they've tried to
that's
play it
funny.
so many different ways already.
Wow.
So like the web of decision trees and dialogue choices is so fascinating to me, because I love trying to find the code behind the game, which is almost impossible on this one. Honestly, there's just so much to it. There's so much depth, and I think the writing's really funny. There's some hilarious characters. I've laughed out loud. Some of them are really, really sweet. Some of them are very hot. I don't like that I have to choose who to romance sometimes. It's really frustrating. But yeah, I'm having a really great time playing it. I like the RPG system. I think it's very easily accessible. I like managing all of my companions. I like figuring out like all the different nooks and crannies that I can explore in order to get just one more little upgrade to this one stave that's on this one character, so they can be a little bit stronger, and maybe upgrade this one with an enchantment so that they can do fire damage along with my electricity damage. And I like, all of the intricacies and the fighting and the combat. And I also like that you can turn the difficulty down, because some of these dragons are hard to kill. So
Dude, there's some
it's hitting all the
marathon
things I need.
fights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
There's some
gosh.
tough ones for sure, but
Marathons. Yeah.
there's options, right? If you're not going for the nightmare playthrough, which you cannot back down from once you choose it, it's a lot of fun. And I can see me playing this again, which is unheard of for me, because I barely finish games. As I said, I have to play too many in order to get through all of them, and this one's got its hooks in me real hard.
Which class are you playing?
I am an elf mage,
Okay.
and I am a Antivan crow on this rook,
Nice.
which has
Uh,
changed a lot of the game for me.
I also selected mage, and the biggest surprise for me with Dragon Age: The Veilguard is how much I'm enjoying the combat, because I love turn-based combat. That's my preferred way to play role-playing games. And specifically, I love the Dragon Age franchise, have done for many, many years. In fact, there was a time when it was like you're either a Dragon Age or a Mass Effect, and I was always a Dragon Age.
I was a
Uh,
Jade Empire, for the record.
Jade Empire is very good. But yeah, I mean, there was always that sort of like rivalry. People, and I felt like I was one of the few people that preferred Dragon Age over Mass Effect. Mass Effect was always much more popular. Anyway, I have a lot of affection for this franchise, and in the ramp up of this game, in its PR campaign, and they started showing more of it and showing the combat specifically, I got a real uh-oh feeling, because it looked really chaotic. It looked so action heavy and repetitive, and I just thought, oh no, have they gone down this route, like the Final Fantasy franchise for me, where it's going to alienate me specifically and kind of turn me off to something that I have loved? And I'm here to say I was very wrong about that, because the combat system in Dragon Age Veilguard is really fun. Is it action heavy? Yes. Even as a mage, I am basically a battle mage. You're right up in there. One of the weapon sets you have two different weapon sets you can switch between. You're farther in the game than I am, so if I see anything that changes, you can let me know, Riana. But one of the weapon sets is basically a melee combat, that you have some range, but you're much closer, and you have a finishing move that's this kind of knife slash.
The knife in the orb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is my preferred way to play. I thought, I wanted to be the mage standing back casting spells and stuff, but as I got into it, and the dagger orb combo is really fun, and it's much more what I've played with. I rarely switch out of that. I a few times have, but it's really fun, and it's got that kind of Mass Effect. It's much closer to Mass Effect, and I think it hints at where they're going with Mass Effect at BioWare in the next installment. In that you're controlling one character primarily, and then asking your companions to do things. And Dragon Age has been like that too, but Very much in this case, you're kind of setting up those combos like you would do in Mass Effect, where you tell one of your squad mates to do a certain thing, and then you tell the other squad mate to do a complementary thing, and it does a cool combo, which is very fun. And those things proc, and you're able to ask your members to do certain things at certain times, but you're not directly controlling them moment to moment. And what you are doing is very, it's very actiony. You're spamming X, you're following up with Y, you're dodge rolling, you're blocking. It's even as a mage. So I didn't think that I would love it, but it is very fun. The new abilities that you unlock are cool. Building your talent tree and speccing into a specialization that further differentiates your character is really fun. I think they've nailed a lot of the sort of fundamental RPG combat layer stuff that I was worried about, and I love how, as you mentioned, Rihanna, the loot is a little more sparse. You're not drowning in loot like you are in some RPGs. When loot arrives, it feels really special, and the upgrade paths to it are interesting. I think the RPG stuff is handled really, really well, and then you've got the story layer that you explained well as well, where I just love making these dialogue choices. I love role playing a conversation as much as I do a fight. And I think Dragon Age does that and has done that as a franchise very, very well, and continues to do so. The visual of the world is amazing. The places you get to go, the cool stuff you're doing moment to moment. This is one of my favorite games of the year. I'm really, really enjoying Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
It's a lot of game for your money
Yes.
as
Yes.
well.
It's a big, expansive game, but it starts out, I would say the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, maybe not that long. I'm slow. I like you, I'm doing every little thing.
Highly recommend, especially if you like the lore.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots to discover in the game. But I think the first few hours feel very linear and very, very narrowly focused, of pushing you forward to the next place, the next thing. And you don't realize how much the game really does open up until later, where exploration becomes a big part of it. And there's stuff hidden in nooks and crannies that I found delightful, like, not just loot to be found, which is plentiful, but, fun, cool things to do, and fun little side quests, and little, hidden kind of just environmental fun things to find, and, things to stick your magic dagger into that, transform the world in certain ways, open a portal that go here, and just nothing's pointing you to that. But when you do it, it's really cool, and there's lots to find like that, lots of little hidden pathways, and it's more openy and more it's more densely filled with stuff than perhaps the first few hours might indicate.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool how the game kind of unfolds like that, in contrast to Dragon Age Inquisition, which was like, the hinterlands is huge and you're in it and there's a million things to do, and you can get lost in the opening sequence. This game is very focused in its opening, and then kind of unveils what the full game is about, over time, which I think is cool.
Yeah. I mean, as a newcomer, I prefer this approach. It gave me time to catch up to what was going on and to start caring about most of the characters.
Yeah.
There's one I have beef with. I'm not going to get into it, but it's also really rewarding when, like you're saying, you just start kind of like veering off the path a little bit, because there are a lot of interesting environmental puzzles, and they're not even marked like, this is a puzzle, come
Right.
solve it. There'll be something glittering in a tree, and you're like, what's that? And it's like a whole 10-minute long figure out like what's going on here, and then maybe there's something over there, and then you hear a sound cue from another area. Like, they're very interesting. It's not to harp on Destiny, but it's not just go over here and pull out your ghosts. Like, they're very intricate, lots of different ways to interact with the world, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
I agree. I am also loving it. I think this is far better than I even hoped for with the new Dragon Age. I at this, as we were ramping up toward release, I really was kind of consigning myself to the fact that I was maybe not going to love this game, and I do love this game. It's one of those ones where when I'm not playing it, I'm wishing I had time to go play it. I want to be playing it. That's the feeling that I'm always looking for, is a game that kind of consumes me and makes me want to come back to it, and keeps me wanting more. And there's so much to this game that, as you said, that is waiting for you. It's awesome that way.
It's literally sitting right next to me right now. Paused. I keep looking at it like.
So I'm sure I'll be talking more about it over the next few weeks as I, work my way through it too. I'm very impressed, and I think they have pulled off a very difficult thing, which is sort of making it feel like the franchise, but also pushing it forward in very interesting ways and making it different. It's a lot different than the last installment, which, granted, is over a decade ago now. So maybe there aren't a lot of people that remember it, but
right around the same time Typing of the Dead came out, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
On Steam.
On Steam, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyway, that's Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We'll be talking more about it, but I think Riana and I both digging it. What else is on?